Unlike most previous iterations, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe allows you to customize different parts of the vehicle, and not just the body and the driver. Considering all the unique drivers, vehicle bodies, tires, and gliders available, there are 676,500 possible combinations. But they are not built equally due to the different distribution of the statistics. The statistics themselves also have different degree of importance. The most important stat in this game is Miniturbo, as it determines the duration and strength of Miniturbos and jump boosts on all surfaces, as well as the charge thresholds for the 3 Miniturbo stages. Another statistic of primary importance is ground speed, as it determines the max speed of the vehicle on the most common surface. The secondary stats are anti-gravity speed and acceleration. These are definitely the stats to look out for after finding a good balance between ground speed and Miniturbo. The tertiary stats are way less impactful than the previous ones, but they can clear the gap between two very similar combos. In this video, we will analyze only the 10 best archetypes rather than the actual 10 best combos to avoid unnecessary repeats by showing combos with extremely similar stats and same role. Only the best combos for each archetype will be talked about, including indirectly their equivalents. If two archetype variants have comparable advantages with one not outclassing the other, they will both be mentioned as representatives of their archetype. For example, all the variants using Teddy Buggy are considered equal to the Cat Cruiser variants, as both vehicles have their own niche, with one not being necessarily better than the other. On the contrary, an archetype variant using Mr. Scooty is straight up superior to its Biddy Buggy counterpart because Biddy Buggy does not offer any reasonable advantage over Mr. Scooty. This means that Biddy Buggy, despite being a solid vehicle on its own, will be ignored for this ranking. The first combo we're gonna look at does not belong to the top 10, but it still deserves a mention as the best combo crafted specifically for bagging. This combo really makes sure you have as much freedom as possible when deciding when to make a comeback, as its speed advantage makes speed items more valuable while its Miniturbo and acceleration are enough to hold the position gained for a good while. The handling stat is just enough to make soft drifting comfortable without incapacitating you to take the sharpest turns in the game. This bagger also becomes the perfect running combo for speed-based tracks like Moonview Highway and Wee Rainbow Road, especially considering its hitbox being good enough to perform wall dodging techniques. The brightest players will surely have noticed that this combo seems very similar to the OG meta combo, Waluigi on the Wild Wiggler. In fact, this combo is supposed to be its spiritual successor as it keeps its roll and overall feeling while being improved on the speed stat. The 10th best archetype in the game is also the most well-rounded. Rosalina on either Teddy Buggy or Cat Cruiser is a perfect hybrid for both running and bagging, and with great recovery on top of that, granting amazing versatility for switching strategy mid-race. No track-specific disadvantages. Running is forgiving with this combo as snaking is not a constant necessity, but it can totally be performed as well as most Miniturbo techniques. This is the easiest yet effective hybrid build to use, but it comes with a price, a large hitbox that limits evasion. The next archetype in this ranking is pretty unique and underlooked. This inward drift combo relies on a specific synergy between Comet and Cushion tires. Cushion tires are known for their size and bouncy physics, but Comet is the vehicle that reduces their size the most, minus 30% in both width and length compared to the base size. This means that you're getting the most invincibility possible while keeping a really good hitbox. The combination of inward drift, invincibility, and a good hitbox make this archetype really suited for item counterplay and surviving in the pack. High Miniturbo and moderate handling also allow to squeeze Miniturbos with ease even on straight lines and uncomfortably wide turns. The major disadvantage of this combo is underwater driving, so better watch out for water tracks like Piranha Plant Cove. Another particularly unfavorable track is definitely DK Mountain, as inward drift bikes cannot perform alignment hops.
Thanks, Nintendo.
The base concept of the anti-gravity hybrid is identical to the standard hybrid seen previously, but there are some differences that make this particular archetype stand out more. The anti-gravity hybrid loses a bit on gliding and recovery, but it's faster overall due to its anti-gravity speed advantage. The winning factor is definitely the hitbox of Ink Striker, which comes in handy for wall dodging and increases evasion in general. Overall, the anti-gravity hybrid is a bit tougher to use than the standard hybrid, but it has more potential due to its higher skill cap. The choice between the traction variant with Mario and the handling variant with Luigi is highly dependent on the track selection. Although the traction variant might be more rewarding if you use the lower handling at your advantage for squeezing Miniturbos.
Set sail, sailor. This combo be perfect for ridding the 7 seas.
traction, water speed be the main advantages of this archetype. But it also has great recovery and evasion capabilities. This ship will allow you to doubloons in on the loot. Ne'er stay away from anti-gravity tracks.
The elusive frontrunner is very similar to the previous archetype, but it's more well-rounded. It is not as specialized for water tracks, but it provides better anti-gravity speed and has a smaller hitbox thanks to the varmint, increasing evasion. This combo really shines the most on tracks that require almost exclusively ground speed, but it still benefits from slippery and water tracks. Once again, anti-gravity is a major weakness. This combo also has pretty good ground handling, making it great for taking the sharpest turns in the game with ease. The standard runner is a comfortable and well-rounded archetype for running, and it's capable of performing most advanced running techs. The handling variant with Luigi is particularly good for gliding techs as it has the best optimization between air speed and air handling. Very beneficial on tracks with motion gliding techs at the end of the lap like Mario Kart Stadium and Coconut Mall. The traction variant with Mario allows you to squeeze more mini-turbos on wider turns, and it's obviously a bit more suited for slippery sections, while still keeping the gliding advantage over most combos in the game. The main disadvantage of this archetype is the hitbox. Medium-sized Teddy Buggy and Cat Cruiser are incapable of wall dodging in common circumstances. The best inward drift archetype almost makes it to the podium. The inward frontrunner is the archetype you're looking for to get through the pack by drafting your opponents and keep the lead thanks to the high mini-turbo and acceleration. This combo provides a solid speed distribution as well as great mobility, evasion, and outlining potential. The gliding capabilities are also not to be underlooked. Due to the nature of inward drift, this archetype is unable to perform many advanced techniques like air hops and super bounces. But it can definitely play more around drafting, trapping, and backspamming to make up for this disadvantage. The lower spot of the podium is occupied by the anti-gravity runner, the best Ink Striker archetype for running. The traction variant using Yoshi and Cloud Glider might be very familiar to the ones who experienced the meta shift on Wave 4. In fact, it was the most popular combo at the time. Thanks to the Tanuki Mario buff on Wave 5, it's now possible to reach the 3.0 weight milestone without hurting the primary stats, making the weight variant the best overall for this archetype. The stats are very similar to the ones of the standard runner, but a bit of acceleration and airspeed are sacrificed for improved anti-gravity speed. The reduced air handling reduces slightly the gliding capabilities, but the reduced ground handling allows to squeeze more mini-turbos on wider turns. The real winning factor is the hitbox, now thin enough to allow the player to wall dodge items without trailing. This archetype really got everything covered for both running and bagging if you know what you're doing. Not the easiest to get into, but with very high skill cap. The second best archetype in the game is the high-tech frontrunner, an archetype designed specifically to squeeze the most out of the mini-turbo stat for maximum front-running capabilities. The best combos for this archetype have the second highest mini-turbo stat in the game, and they can barely reach the 2.0 weight milestone to have an acceptable degree of resistance from bumps. High acceleration and handling make this archetype forgiving and easy to get started with, but the high mini-turbo stat allows for a very high skill ceiling when executing mini-turbo techs. Another important advantage is the extremely small hitbox of Mr. Scooty, amazing for dodging items despite the minimum invincibility. The major disadvantage is bagging. This archetype lacks speed, especially ground speed, while the low weight and invincibility could be a problem if you get caught by the chaos in the pack. The most consistently good archetype in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the standard frontrunner. This combo is well-rounded for running any track in the game. Unlike the high-tech frontrunner, it does not punish the player as much for not constantly squeezing mini-turbos. Just barely less potential for insane consistency and reliability when running for players of any skill level. Gliding capabilities are also on point due to high air speed and air handling. High acceleration and handling also grant reliable recovery and mobility, while the speed distribution is still great, allowing for solid comebacks when needed, making this archetype almost completely flawless. The only main disadvantage of the standard frontrunner is the hitbox. This archetype is incapable of performing itemless wall dodging techniques in average conditions, leaving room for the player to sacrifice a bit of reliability for more potential by generally choosing either the high-tech frontrunner, the inward frontrunner, or the anti-gravity runner based on the preferred playstyle.